Hello, my name is Fernando and I'm a mechanical engineer, and I like to do illustrations that I use on presentations for training or to include on my technical blog. And over the years, I've used PowerPoint to do these illustrations and create scalable vector graphics, or SVGs. Now you'd think, you would need expensive tools like Adobe Illustrator or the free equivalent Inkscape to do that, but I'm going to show you just how to do this on PowerPoint. And to illustrate this, I'm going to be drawing uh, a set of Vernier calipers. Vernier calipers are a precision measurement tool that's been around for a really long time. And if you just pick one up, you notice that it takes a little bit of help understanding how to use it. So I want to include a chapter on this in one of my trainings, and I want to draw this. I want to draw this in a way I can scale it up and make sure that it's always going to be nice and crisp on the screen or on print, and I want to be able to then manipulate it too, so then I can move it around and almost treat it like a virtual object. So, getting started, we're going to do that in 20 minutes or less in PowerPoint. So, I start always with a reference image. I'm going to search for Vernier calipers, not Veniero's pasticceria. Vernier caliper. Okay. So I search for images, source image. Wikipedia usually has some really nice images. I'm going to right click, copy image. I have a empty PowerPoint and all its default settings waiting for me. So I paste it there, and the first thing I'm going to do is take advantage of a nice feature they put on here, which you right click and you can say lock. Now I cannot inadvertently move this image while I work around it. So I'm going to trace. I'm going to trace this image with just regular shapes. In this case, I'm going to use a rectangle to trace what I consider to be the main body of the veneer. And since I'm tracing, it's nice to see through, so I'm going to go Format, Shape, Fill, and apply a 60% transparency. And there you go. Now I can see through, and I can continue tracing. The caliper, it's longer than this, so I can draw another rectangle, or I can copy a rectangle. Another very nice feature today in PowerPoint is you can move these and you can see those guidelines show up. So then I can see here, it's telling me that these two blue rectangles that I've drawn are aligned. If I were in doubt, I can select them both, go to Arrange, Align, and say Align Bottom, and they're perfectly aligned. So now I want to treat these as one body. So I go to Shape Format, I go to Merge Tools, and I say Union. So those two were selected, and now I applied the Union command, and now they're one. Now I'm going to keep tracing. I want to trace these jaws now, so I'm going to use the Freeform tool. I'm going to get close to the starting point where I need to be, and I'm just going to trace. If I want perfectly straight lines, I can I can do a shift that draws perfectly straight lines, and I don't really have to close this shape, and you'll see why in a second. I want to apply this formatting that I've applied here, so I can pick my top rectangle, go to Format Painter, click there, and click on my shape, and it applies the formatting that I have there. So same thing here, I can align them. I can say align left, and before I union that, I'm going to make a copy of it, because I'm essentially going to use this as if it were the other jaws on the other side. And you can see here, when I get them close, that line appears in the bottom. That tells me that those two objects are aligned on the bottom. So perfect. I'm going to let go. I'm going to click the jaw. I'm going to click the body, Shape Format, Union, and now they're one piece. Now there's these little features here. There's like a nice cutout. I like my illustrations to be as realistic as possible. That way, when you actually hold one of these instruments in your hand, it seems very familiar. So now, instead of union, we're going to say cut. I'm going to also prepare myself for the other side. I'm going to, first you keep the geometry you want to keep, and then you click Shift and then click the geometry that you want to subtract. Go to Merge Shapes, say subtract. I'm going to do the same exercise on the other jaw. Now I have these things that look like bunny ears, and this is an illustration, so I don't necessarily need to be perfect, so I'm going to try to best fit this, an arc on the back, part of this ellipse. I'm going to duplicate the formatting. I'm going to say that's close. So I have my ellipse. This is my cutting line. I want to keep the ellipse, grab that rectangle, and say subtract. Then I'm going to make another subtraction because I had some leftover pieces there. I'm going to say shape, subtract. And then I have a slight relief. Once again, I'm going to draw my relief. This radius is maybe too big. Pick the shape I want to keep, and then say subtract. I'm going to just flip this vertically. It's aligned, and that's where it needs to be. So now I have my little rabbit ears, or inside measurement. I'm going to union, and all of that is one piece. So now I have to continue drawing the movable piece of a Vernier caliper. I have a section of the body here, and then in a different color or shape, I like to group geometries together, just because then it's easier to manipulate and move. So these are these two shapes. I have these features on here. I have this knurled screw and then this other thing. So I don't draw just a circle. I'm going to take this 32 tooth star. And the nice thing about this is that I can change how deep these star rays go, and I can make it close. I'm going to send that to the back. I can send the picture to the back, so I get that hidden effect. And then I'm going to draw a rectangle for that thread, a rectangle for this step, and then a rectangle for the knob. And these, I'm going to make sure they're aligned center, and then I'm going to group them. Send them to the back, send the picture to the back, and I'm missing a couple of things. One, there's this ruler strip looking thing here. I'm going to draw that. It's part of the main body. These things can come to the front. And there's these bevels on the jaws. So for this, I'm going to show you a trick. I'm going to draw the bevel, and I'm going to do one of these Boolean commands with the picture format, but I don't want to lose my calipers. I'm going to duplicate it and set it right on top. So now there's essentially two caliper bodies there, and I'm going to pick these two shapes, and I'm going to say shape format. I'm going to say intersect. So you see it consumed one of the calipers into the shape. Now I can duplicate this. I can align. Nope, not align. I can flip horizontal, set it up, and now I have that nice bezel effect. And I need to do the same up here. So I'm going to create another profile. I'm going to draw this where I want it. I'm going to say shape format, intersect, perfect. So now, I always like to keep my reference image, so I'm going to duplicate the slide, Control D. I'm going to come to this second instance, and I'm going to delete the picture. Now I can ask this to be 0%. I can pick the color of the geometry that I want it to be, and I need to make sure that everything is 0% transparency. So Control A, 0% transparency. And it reveals that this shape should be on the back. And I pretty much have my calipers. Okay, I'm going to just make some final tweaks here. The weight of the lines are too heavy, so I'm going to go with 3/4 point. And then these, I want some of these rectangles to be lighter. If you press on your keyboard F4, you get to repeat the last command. And these I'm going to make a little tad darker. So look at that. Now we have what looks like a very nice, crisp, sharp-looking Vernier caliper. If we want to compare it to our source picture, we can look at that, look at my version, look at that, look at my version. Okay, this little rectangle I can actually make look more like a knurled pattern. There you go. Cool. And now I need the lines, the graduation. So here I'm going to copy this image, put it on top of this other slide. Remember that trick, not link, remember that trick to lock. And I can now draw my lines. So just to keep this nice and simple, I'm only going to draw the metric scale on here. I'm going to draw a line, I'm going to make it black, I'm going to change the weight to be closer to what it seems like. I'm going to align this close, and then I have, at 5 millimeters I have a long line, and then single millimeter lines are shorter. I can do Control D, and now the trick is that I can grab all of these and I can duplicate this section here. If I didn't get it perfectly aligned, don't worry. I'm going to stop at 70. There's a nice cool trick here. If you have, let's say, the full extent of the range of the objects that you have, I can select them all, and then I can say arrange and distribute horizontally. So what that did is it did a perfect horizontal distribution within that full scale or range that I had selected. I also want to make sure that my bottoms are aligned, and now I have a perfect scale. Now I can add numbers. We're not going to mess with the font. I'm going to this is 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 70. While I do this, you know, I play with some of the AI, and I ask AI to draw calipers and stuff for illustrations, and I really never get what I want out of it. So I think this is still a skill that it's useful that AI hasn't been able to fully master yet. I'm going to make sure all of these numbers are aligned. I'm going to say align top. And now I'm going to group that side of the scale. I'm going to send that to the back so it doesn't create much clutter. And now I'm going to draw the Vernier scale. So same thing, align, change its weight. These look a little slanted because there's perspective on this picture, but I am going to not very much. This is the half a tenth a millimeter, or 5/10 of a millimeter, and same thing. I'm going to duplicate that, and those are perfectly aligned. and get a good distribution there. I'm going to, just in case, I'm going to align those top. Now I'm going to do the text, so I'm going to add 0. It's too big. Let's make it smaller. Can do that same trick as I did before, where you pick all these numbers and you say distribute horizontally, and let's also deal with the alignment. And one last thing, this in these calipers happens to be smaller. Okay, I think we're done. Erase that. Just need to send this to the back. Send this large body to the back. Send this ear to the back. And I have a set of calipers. I'm going to group these guys. So now, if I'm using this on an illustration, perfect. If I'm using this on an illustration and I want to just make an adjustment, I can pick these and move them. And I can now build my training and say, hey, this is how you use calipers. Hey, the 0 is not perfectly aligned. I need to make this like in real life. I'm going to make that 0. And this guy needs to move to 0. Perfect. So, look at that. That guy shouldn't be there. This body should have been one same size. So, pick this, subtract, not perfectly aligned. So that something that we need to correct there. Subtract. Perfect. So I want all of these pieces to behave as one. Group them up. All the zeros line up. And now I'm looking at my real world calipers. This cutout actually goes all the way. We said we were going to make this realistic. Let's go ahead and do that. Format shape. I'm off by a hair. Format shape. Maybe it would help if this weight outline is the same. And now I can see. Okay. Subtract. And on my real world calipers, you can see that there I am missing a piece of metal here that connects this. So I'm going to unite them, the piece that you're uniting to the other that say inherits the formatting. I'm going to send that to the back, and now I have a working set of calipers that go to 0, and now I can slide and say, yeah, what is this dimension? This dimension is 27 millimeters, 0.09. So the nice thing that started the whole objective of this is you can right click and say save as picture, and on this picture you can say save as a scalable vector graphic, and save it as picture 1. And when you open your web browser, you can now throw this image in there, picture 1. Let's throw that into the browser, and it opens as a scalable vector graphic. I don't have to have, obviously I can't modify this in this program, but you can see that it can scale and be as large as possible and be nice and crisp. So for a very long time, I've been wanting to share this PowerPoint trick where you can create scalable vector graphics without having to buy professional grade software like Illustrator. I hope you enjoy it. Bye.